Well. Have you been thinking about or wondering if it's time for you to refinance on an existing loan that you already have? Have you been curious about the refinance process in and of itself? Are there things that you don't understand about the refinancing process? Well, you've landed on the right video because today, right here on the Debt Demolisher TV, I'm going to be walking you through the A to Z process inside of refinancing a car, refinancing a home, refinancing any loan for that matter. So if you're ready, let's go.
The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melody.
I think we started. Okay, hopefully this thing will be simultaneous, but we're gonna rock this out right now. Hi everyone, it's Sophia Melanie, the Debt Demolisher, here to bring you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you manage your financial baggage the right way. In today's episode, we're going to be addressing a question from our very own DDTV fan channel member. If you are a DDTV fan member, let me see your get up and shout emojis in the comments. And if you're ready to get into this work, let me see your get to work emojis inside of the comments. DDTV fan, one of our very own, dropped a question and asked us the following, wanting to know about the refinancing process. And when you think about the refinancing process, it can entail a lot of things. And I realize that some people may not be fully aware of how to do it, what it entails, and how to actually find out if it's going to benefit you or not to do it. Let's first start off with the definition of refinancing, what that looks like. When you're thinking about refinancing, the goal is essentially for you to get a better deal on an existing loan that you already have. So when you refinance a car loan, when you refinance a mortgage, when you refinance any other type of loan that you have that's installed over a certain period of time length based on the terms that you've taken out that particular loan, you can refinance to your advantage. Okay, guys, before I jump into these nuggets, and since you just entered the room, make sure that you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe because it certainly helps the channel. Why? Because your view is appreciated. Now let's jump back. To hopefully get into a lower rate so that way you can get a better deal. You all know when you take out a loan, typically your loan is on a fixed rate. So you would pay interest based on the interest rate that's assigned over the life of your loan. So if you have a loan that's $12,000 and the interest rate on that loan is 8.99, and you've been paying on this loan and you have this loan for a 5-year period, 60 months, if you continue to pay on it, it's going to extrapolate how much interest you'll end up paying over time. But one of the things that you can do to help lower the price that you have to pay for borrowing that money, i.e. through interest rates, you can leverage the refinance process to hopefully get into another loan at a lower rate and also have a lower monthly payment. But before you go into refinancing, you want to make sure that you weigh all of the pros and the cons as it relates to that. Investopedia has a great synopsis and overview of the refinancing process, and they even have pros and cons of what you should consider when refinancing. Before I pull up the pros and cons, I want to share with you some things that you want to make sure that you have in front of you or have readily available so that way you can decide or determine if refinancing is the way that you want to go. You first want to make sure that you know the existing loan terms for the loan that you have right now. And that will be what the original loan amount was that you took out, what the original interest rate was that you took out, what the original loan terms were when you took that first loan out. Once you know those three, you then want to now look at what your current balance is to date. So looking at your current balance and also looking at how far along within your loan term have you been able to meet thus far. So if you already had a 5-year loan and you're thinking about consolidating or refinancing your existing 5-year loan and you're now like at the 2.5 mark period, that means technically you have 2.5 years left remaining on those existing terms. And you want to look to see what your balance is in comparison to that. So remember the example that we gave at the beginning of the episode was that you have a $12,000 loan over 60 months. 2.5 years in, you're probably going to be thinking that your balance is about halfway that, But we have to remember that that's not going to be the case because you're paying for interest over time. So typically you'll end up paying a lot more than what your balance actually is. So when you look at your current balance in comparison to the original loan amount, you can figure out what the percentage or what percentage of your original loan that you've already paid down thus far. If you utilize different resources like amortization tools, there's refinance calculators and so forth, where you can plug in those numbers to see what the difference is between you staying on your existing plan versus you refinancing under new terms. The thing that you want to take into consideration when this comes to the new terms is what the current interest rates are based on the market that we're in, what your current credit score is, because that's going to play a role in terms of what your interest rate will be, as well as based on the range that's available in the market. And then you also want to look at your income to make sure that you have a fair debt to income ratio that will allow you to even be able to be approved for the loan. Ooh, child, this is hard. I feel like I got chalk all of this out. I ain't even gonna have 2 minutes. This is a hot mess. So under general circumstances, the best time to refinance your existing loans is if your current credit score has improved. Not only that, if maybe your financial situations have changed, whether it be in income, whether it be in maybe other debts that you would like to consolidate and bring down. Those are some of the reasons in which you would refinance. But the main deal is to save money. So on a very high level, there are 4 types of refinancing options that you can take. The first one is a rate and term refinancing. And what a rate and term refinancing is essentially you taking out a new loan so that you can get either lower terms or lesser terms, as well as a lesser interest rate. The other option is cash out refinancing. Cash out refinancing is you pulling cash out of your equity and refinancing that over a new period of time. So this is typically what you see when people refinance mortgages. Another type of refinancing is cash in refinancing, which means the inverse. Instead of you taking money out of your equity of your home or the asset that you have, you actually put money down on the table to bring the price down. So if you do a cash in refinancing, you're bringing money to the table to lessen the overall amount that you end up taking out under these new terms. And then last but not least, the last refinancing option is consolidation refinancing. And essentially that's you consolidating multiple different types of debts that you have into one. And this is most effective if you have like higher interest rates on your credit cards and you're trying to get rid of that high balance and just lumping it into a more longer term loan that will have a standard interest rate that will span over a period of time. So if you're thinking about refinancing, figure out which option will you fall under, considering the facts, and then you can go into assessing the pros and the cons. Because you already have all of the data up front of what you need to have and what you should have knowledge of and everything else, now we can look at the pros and cons. So according to Investopedia, some of the pros and cons of refinancing is this. The pro is you can get a lower monthly payment as well as lower interest rates. The con to that, however, is that if your loan term is reset to its original length, then your total interest payment over the life of this new loan is going to outweigh what you would have saved at the lower interest rate. So that's something to really take into consideration. Another con is if the interest rates drop, then you won't get the benefit with a fixed rate mortgage or a fixed rate installment loan unless you refinance again. So this was one of the examples that I gave when the pandemic actually happened and the interest rates dropped. I immediately thought about how I can take advantage of what was happening inside of the economy. And I decided to refinance and I cut my loan term in half and I also cut my interest rates in half. So knowing when to do things, knowing when to refinance is where the key is going to be. And if you want to save money, you want to make sure that you're only doing this in a sense where you're cutting your interest rates in half as well as your overall interest that you're going to be paying over the life of the loan. So have you hit the like button yet? No, come on. Really? Now I know you've seen these bloopers and all the efforts that I've been putting in making this video, so hit that like button and finish watching the rest. And so this goes back to another one of the pros where you can set a shorter loan term, allowing you to save more money on your total interest paid. So when you're looking at refinancing, shop around as well. Like, don't go to the first lender. You want to be careful with you shopping around because, of course, you don't want to have too many credit pulls. You don't want to be doing too many inquiries, but you can do your research on your own to find out what the rates are in terms of whatever these lenders are offering. You could see if there are options for soft pulls, which there isn't typically one, especially if you're doing one to refinance using an actual collateral asset. So when it comes to refinancing a collateral asset, that will be like a vehicle or a home or a boat, anything that's a tangible asset. Whereas refinancing personal debt or refinancing anything related to consolidations, typically those things are unsecured loans or unsecured avenues. So there isn't any collateral that's attached to it. So if you're having trouble trying to decide if you should refinance or if you shouldn't refinance, one of the things that you want to make sure that you definitely do is take advantage of calculators. There are so many loan calculators that are out there where all you have to do is just plug in your specific numbers to figure out what the outcome will be, and then you can weigh your two options. I'm going to leave a link or two down in the comments to some suggested calculators that you could use just to play around with it and just see what comes up. But that way you can see what attributes or what variables you need to include inside of the calculators to make sure that you have that information before you use it. Also, if you're having challenges with your credit scores, or if you're looking to improve those because you feel like you just might not quite be ready yet to refinance because you want to get your credit score improved, I want to tell you about my credit improvement strategies workshop that is coming up, as well as the course. So make sure that you check down in the comments to check the link for that to find out when the next class will be held. Remember, your financial prosperity awaits you, and so does your financial sanity. You already know what I'm going to tell you to do, and that's what? Get to work. All right, guys. Bye. What is going on today? This is not okay. It's just not. This is horrible. Now, once again, if you did not like on the way in, make sure that you like on the way out. Thank you.
The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Meloni.